Tahmoh, Penikett.
It's
This man,
yeah,
years no way to your talent.
Years of practice. If I had my tap shoes and this were a hardwood floor, you would be blown away.
I can tell.
See you later.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very, very much. Am I allowed to sit down? I can sit down, right?
Yeah.
Hey, well, I'm very excited to be here because I've never been here before. This is the second time that the show has happened in the city. Loyal, I use this term often, rabid fan base. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for having us. Let's get into some questions, because we have a lot of people here. Hi.
I'm a huge fan, but I watched Rift World last week on the internet. What was it like to film that?
What was it like to film it?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a blast. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Erin Karplak, who's the other lead, she's a dear friend of mine, and we actually went to acting school together many years ago, and we've even been roommates. And Erin's really good at that. She's had a lot of experience doing comedy. She did a series called Being Erica for 5 years. Very, very talented actor. When you get the opportunity to shoot with a good friend of yours who's very good with that vein, that tone of material, it makes your job so much easier. And then on top of it, being good friends with them, it makes it fun. You know, the challenging thing about it was we obviously had a limited budget, so there's only so many takes. You know what I mean? You can't make it perfect. You just gotta kind of go for it. You gotta trust in what you're doing. I hope you bang it off. I think we did a pretty good job. I'm happy with it. We had fun. What'd you think?
What was it?
What did you think?
I thought it was great.
Okay, good. So you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was funny, but also had some serious
When
stuff.
she didn't answer me right away, I was like, oh. I'm like, what'd you think? You're like, I like the best. Thank you. Hi.
And all the characters that you've played across the series and everything, a lot of them, in fact all of them, have got redeeming values and they've got honor. Even the bad guys, which really haven't been all that evil. So
It's really strange because I actually don't have any redeeming values.
and that's what I was going to ask, because you're... It seems like you're pretty damn honorable in real life, so I was wondering how... Do you ever really want to play somebody really badass evil, like Mark Shepard does?
Well, see, it's easy for Mark, right? Because yeah, listen, I put it out there a few years ago because, you know, for a large part of my career, when I started off in significant shows like Battlestar, I did play characters like that, which it was an honor to play those characters. And I mean, the writing was exceptional, and it, you know, makes your job easier. And I'm happy that I had that chapter, but right after I was like, it'd be a lot of fun to play some evil characters. So I got some evil characters. I asked for it, I put it out there, and they came to me. And, you know, it's a blast to shoot that too. I'm all about trying as many things as I can as an artist in this short lifetime that I have. Because, you know, a career goes by, man. I can't tell you how fast the last 7 years has gone by. It's fascinating to me sometimes. It's scary. So I want to challenge myself. I want to try everything. I want to do it all. Song, dance, comedy, horror, all of it.
Woo!
Whatever I can do. Yeah, and hopefully it's coming. You know, you know, I'm actively trying to make my own stuff too, because you know, if there's one thing I've learned, just, you know, going back to that point of the last 7 years is going by so fast. You can't just sit around and wait for the industry to give it to you. Also, you gotta act much stuff. So, yeah.
Well, thank you.
I don't know if I answered your question. I answered my own question.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
There were a lot of times in season 9 where like you and Sam essentially had to play the same character. So I was just wondering like if you and Jared had a lot of collaboration on that and how that went about.
Yeah, we really didn't. I don't know. It's funny because I've told this story many, many times, but I'll tell it again for those of you who haven't heard it. I thought that I was coming in and I would be playing Ezekiel first. I thought I was the first one, and then he would have to kind of go and take from what I did, which I thought was fantastic. That's easy. And then the day I was shooting, the first day I was shooting, the director asked me, he's like, "So, do you want to see what Jared has done with this guy?" And I was like, "What do you mean, what he's done?" And he's like, "Well, we shot a scene already with Jared playing you." And I was like, I think that would probably be a good idea. Maybe. And so he said, "Yeah, but we gotta hurry because we've got 5 minutes before we're going to do." Okay then, let's see that right now, quickly, please. So they showed it to me, and Jared was doing some fantastic stuff. His physicality was really impressive, and he had a certain cadence with the way he was speaking. It's hard to incorporate, something like that very quickly, but I did the best I could with the choices that I made. So he really, he set the precedent, and rightly so. I mean, it's Jared, it's his show, he's the one playing. It was good that he went first. So I took from as much as I could from what he did, and incorporated and did my own thing. Yeah. Thank you. Hi.
So you've gotten the chance to be a part of a lot of really cool sci-fi and kind of other cult shows, and a lot of those shows are really known for, having very passionate fan bases. So I was wondering, in your experience, how has the supernatural fandom kind of been really alike a lot of the other fan bases you got to interact with?
How have they been?
Like alike, how are they
Alike.
similar? But then, what sets the supernatural fandom apart and when you get to interact with them?
Well, I think a point I could make right now is, like, for instance, if I were to bring up Battlestar, it was an interesting show because it was so political, and it was such an interesting, provocative social commentary. It was a drama, and it came on at a very tumultuous and changing time in our history, and it was a commentary on what was happening at that time. So we had a very broad audience, and they weren't necessarily genre people. They were people from all walks. Like, a lot of our audience, a lot of our fans who became our solid fans never had really watched genre shows, and it took them a while to get onto Battlestar just because of the title. Ron Moore said many times that the title Battlestar Galactica, because it's so, everyone associates it immediately with the original show, that it worked against us in the beginning. A lot of people wouldn't give the show a chance because of our title. Like, they almost felt like we should have just given it a different name. But a lot of those people just weren't genre fans. And also, social media at the time was really in its early inception. So things have changed so much dramatically since then. So I would like to say a lot of genre fans are passionately love their shows, but with you guys in particular, you've really run with the whole social media thing. And it's incredible what's happened with the show. It's incredible that the numbers have gone up. And it's, it's later years. Like, it's unheard of for a series to have its numbers go up in the 9th and 10th season. That does not happen. It does not happen. It's happening today because you've got a whole new generation of fans who are marathoning the show on Netflix, and then being very you guys and being so active and so vocal on social media that networks are paying attention, the numbers are going up, the show's popularity is growing, this amazing fandom is growing. You guys are different, and I set you apart because of you truly love this show so much, and you really do have a unique community. It's very supportive. And I've seen examples of that, with just how you guys have supported, you know, my little web series, Ritual, since he was, you know, when it started off with the portal, and just even in the last little while with Jared and Jensen giving a tweet out, and you know, my phone almost exploding. Twitter just couldn't handle the amount. You guys retweeting and commenting on the fact that he had tweeted, you know. So yeah, you guys are a very unique and passionate family. I'm very appreciative and happy to be a part of it.
Thank you so much.
Hi. So I know that I hear that you have very good pronunciation and elocution, and I was wondering if that's from acting school.
Richard's always, that's something that introduces me every time. I feel like the pressure's on now. Like I can't ever stumble across a word or slur. I've got to do like vocal warm-ups before I say it. Because of Richard, because I can't just be tired guy in the morning and like not articulate now. It's precedent. So.
Or do you speak like a different language, and that's why you have such good?
No, I don't know. I guess it's just being an actor. I guess, you know. I tend to, I like to be prepared. I'm someone who works very hard at being prepared when I'm performing or doing public speaking or whatever. Not that I always do, but 20 minutes ago I was having breakfast in bed and a cup of coffee. I like my life.
Do you speak a different language?
I have very rusty French, but I'm making a point of getting it back. I was in French immersion when I was a kid, so it's definitely in there. I can sound like I speak French. I'm not confident in conversing in it like very. I still have the accent and everything, and you know, I spoke a little bit of broken Upper Tanana, my mother's language, when I was a kid. So yeah, I mean, I grew up with it. I have the capacity for it, but I don't have another language completely. I couldn't say with full confidence that I'm bilingual.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hi.
Hi. I was wondering that since Gadriel had played such an important role in the supernatural universe with Garden of Eden and being in prison for such a long time, if you ever had trouble relating to him and how you got over that?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, oftentimes characters are challenging, but I think you made the biggest point, which I really tried to stay true to, is that I felt like Gadriel was obviously a little broken. He was so consumed with, he'd have to be a little insane. Being in prison for that long and being tortured, he was so consumed with redemption and getting back to heaven and regaining his good name that he ended up doing horrible things to do it. He was misguided and he had this reverence for the wrong man. And he followed and trusted him and realized far too late that he was making the wrong decisions. He couldn't really come back from that. But that's one thing, the point that you made. I just tried to be true to that.
Thank you.
He wasn't quite right in the head. You know, it took him a while.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So like, I watched Battlestar from the very first minute. I love that show so much. You are actually my favorite character.
Oh, thank you very much.
So I'm just curious, was there anything you learned playing Hilo that you brought to Gadriel?
Was there anything that I learned playing Hilo?
Yeah, any elements of Hilo that kind of bled into Gadriel?
Well, I probably just learned things as an actor playing Hilo that I brought to Gadriel. You know, I made this point once before for any of the young actors in the audience, but I realized on Battlestar was the first time that I truly understood this, and I understood it in the first season, that it's such a collaborative process, in that even though the things are written a certain way, you can really influence the direction of your character and the arc by your performance. So do your work, bring your own stuff to the table, and stay true to it, because you can greatly influence the arc of your character and take it in a different direction. Because I would argue that Gadriel was written a certain way, And I fought against that a little bit, you know, and it ended up being, in the end, I think it brought it full circle. I think, you know, I think the writers, I'm not taking anything away from them. They're fantastic on this show. They had an idea of where it was going to go. You can really do that. And I discovered that on Battlestar. Sometimes a scene is written a certain way because it's the C storyline or B storyline, and you know, the writers are already overworked and they're trying to serve the main storyline, the A storyline, and they can only focus on it. So the C storyline, it's to the detriment of it sometimes. You know, it's rushed, it's surface level. They haven't put a ton of thought into it. They're like, well, he's doing this, and then he's going to end up here. In Battlestar, I discovered very quickly, like, some of the scenes I would like, and I just felt like they were. That was a massive show. I mean, the cast was huge on that show, as you know. We had so many storylines to serve, so I felt that Grace Park and I, we would just do extra work. We'd be like, okay, you know what? Instead of this actually happening, this is what the lines say we're doing, or this is what this, they're trying to point us in this direction. Let's actually make it this. Let's play opposite to that. Because we can, you know, let's try it out. And we come in with this extra work and these extra choices. And we'd have the writers come up to us after and be like, wow, man, what were you doing there? What was going on in that? Like, I mean, that was amazing. Like, we have to write for that. And I was like, oh, wow. I was like, that's amazing. I can actually manipulate this. I have more control than I thought.
Something I really noticed with Adriel, I'm obsessed with dialogue and the writer myself. And
Oh, amazing, yeah.
I felt like they wrote him as kind of cold and detached, but you made him warm and brought so much more depth to his character that, I don't know about everybody else, but I was so mad when they killed you.
Yeah, but I was trying to do that because
Still mad.
we love the scenes were written, you know, like where he's looking at Metatron and, you know, he's all for him. He's not doubting him. He's completely devoted and without any, you know, grievances about these killing other angels and what have you. Like, there was no, like, Gadriel in the corner is torn, or, you know, he's worried about what is happening. He's just, you know, he's there and he's committed and what have you. And I played against that. I had to play against that because yeah, he was once God's #1 angel. You know, he had to have, like I said, he was a little broken in the beginning, but then you know, things started working. He's like, I don't know if I'm making the best life choices here. Anyway, thank you.
Hi. Do you like seeing the special effects that they add in after the show, you know, when it airs live?
Do I like seeing the special effects? Very much so, because I'll tell you, when you see it without, there's so many layers, there's so many departments that are essential. It's such a big collaborative thing that when one element's missing, it's very naked without it. I was just at Comic-Con and I moderated a panel with 6 amazing composers in genre and sci-fi television shows that are on right now. Some of these guys have scored 80 films. You know, they've incredible careers. But I remember I was telling a little story when I moderated that panel where I was looking at dailies as a young actor on Battlestar, just trying to see if I could improve my work and just trying to understand it because someone had suggested that I do. And I saw it without the special effects and without the score. And God, that scene just feel empty, like, without it. Each and every element really adds a layer, and it's so important. So, like that. The keyboard is essential.
Because sometimes when you watch the show, sometimes you forget that wasn't there to begin with. You know?
Yeah, you know, that's what we do as actors. We have to create that, you know. That's why, I don't know, sometimes when we get to work, you know, I've had some great experiences in the studio, because obviously you shoot in the studio a lot, but I'll tell you, one of the best times I ever had was shooting, you know, the first few episodes, or pretty much the first half of the season of Battlestar, because I was the guy who wasn't in the studio. I was the one who was running around the planet, so all my stuff was outside, being chased by, you know, imaginary Cylons and stuff. And that was great. It's great to be outdoors, man. It's awesome. You know, the environment's all there for you. It's easier for the imagination.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning.
Morning.
I was just curious if you knew what you were getting into when you took on the role for Gedriel. If you knew about all of this, about the Supernatural fans, if you watched the show at all, if you knew that pretty much as soon as you shine up to be an actor on this show, you're signing your life away to these conventions.
I didn't actually realize that. You know, I'm a Vancouver guy. I live in LA part of the year, depending on what's happening with work. I've done that for a long time. But Vancouver is a home base for me. And it's such an iconic show there. It started around the same time that Battlestar started. So, and just continuing. I mean, it's had such a long career. Everyone knows of the Supernatural in Vancouver. It's employed so many of the actors. You've always heard about the fan base. I've been in the genre universe for a very long time, so I'm used to passionate fans. But you guys are something else. You really are. You really are. It's fantastic. I'm very I'm grateful and honored to be a part of this because it's been excellent. This moving show that happens, once a month basically in different American cities. It's fantastic. It's once a month, I show up, I get to meet you guys, we get to hang out on the seat. This is my favorite thing, is the Q&A. I get to hang out with you guys and answer some questions and have a little fun. And it's great. I enjoy the whole process, man. You guys are very, very receptive and warm crowd.
I was just wondering how often you're still approached by fans that are upset that you killed Kevin.
Say it again?
I was wondering how often you're still approached by fans that are upset that you killed Kevin.
Oh yeah, it happens. You know what's kind of cute? It's love hate thing. I'm so upset you killed Kevin, but really, I'm upset you died too. Are you sure? I'm upset you died. Are you coming back? That's good. I can deal with that.
Hi. Okay, so if you could play any other character aside from Gadriel in the entire series, whether it be an existing character or like a monster, demon, etc., who or what would it be?
Who would you play?
Seeing as I'm dressed as Dean right now.
Crowley would be fun. Crowley would be fun. I'll be the big, tall version. That would be fun. When I saw that scene where he's getting a massage from a beautiful woman, I was very happy. I remember I was thinking, that would have been a good role. Thank you.
Hi, Tahmoh.
Hi.
I am a huge Dollhouse fan. I watched from the very first episode, and one of the things I always just absolutely latched onto with that show is the complexity of the characters and the level of the craft that all of you displayed in performing every single week. A lot of the other characters, most of them, ended up very abruptly becoming different people throughout the show, but your character in particular had a very gradual arc and a very strong sense of inner morality. And I was wondering, if the show hadn't gotten foxed, and if the last episode had had a different outcome, where you would have liked to see Paul progress throughout later seasons, and what you would have liked to have done with that character.
That's a really good question. I think even if the show had had one more season, it would have been incredible what we could have done and where we could have gone. Personally, as an actor, I think it was inevitable in the storyline that we probably would have got to the point where Paul was imprinted with some different characters too. And as Joss does, nobody else. He's able to balance serious dramatic tone with his very, very witty and smart humor. You know, he can always throw in comedy in the darkest moments, and he does it so well. It's very, his writing style is very specific, and he's so good at that. I would have loved to have seen that, though. I would have loved to have seen Paul imprinted with different characters. And whether it was funny or serious in tone, it would have been challenging. But I think I felt my character in the beginning, they were having to rush things, or they were having to manipulate it because things were changed from the original pilot. And it could have gone in a different direction somewhat. And it would have been nice to see him and Echo's character progress in a different way, in a true way, where they really just kind of got over that hump and started committing. You know, when we did the 10-year jump, if they're in the future, I thought that was great what the writers did. But they were forced to rush things. Do you know what I mean? And I think they did an excellent job. It just would have been so nice to see where the writers were going to take it. You know, Josh would share some things with me about what he was planning for the future, but I think, unfortunately, he knew in his heart, you know, even in the beginning of the second season, that we probably weren't going to last. He just kind of felt it. Like he was having issues early on already. You know, he's been in this business long enough. He probably intuitively knew, looking to share with anybody, that he probably didn't see anything past the second season, unfortunately. What would you have liked to have seen? With my character.
I really, I kind of thought the same way that you did. The 10-year jump, they did it exquisitely with what they had to work with and the time scale that they had, but I would have really loved to get to know Paul more on a personal level, because his arc took him through such a shift in his own sense of, like, he was doing what he thought was right, even though before had thought it was completely wrong, but he was finding the core of that, and I would have really liked to see that brought out, almost like the same way that Echo developed her own sort of, it's almost the same thing, like she found that kernel of herself within that, and I would have really loved to see Paul's progression throughout that as well.
Yeah, it was kind of, unfortunately, it was kind of jumped over. It was kind of jumped over. It would have been nice to have that, yeah. Well, you know what, we got 2 seasons, and I got to work with some really incredible people, so but thank you for the support. I really appreciate that.
I just rewatched the show about a month ago, and I just absolutely love it still. Just every time I watch it, I notice new things, and it's fantastic. So thank you so much for...
Thank you very much.
Hi. I was curious, what was your favorite show to work on? That had the most fun experiences, both on and off screen with some of the other actors, whether it's Battlestar, Dollhouse, or this
every show that, you know, a lot of significant shows that I've worked on where I've actually had an arc, where I've worked with them for a number of episodes or years, you know, there's always, you have a blast. You know, I had a blast with the Supernatural boys, but I only got to work with them for 6 episodes. But it was spread out over 10 months or something, so that was great. It's good to get comfortable. It's, you know, one of the hard things for an actor is when you come onto a show that's so established and has been happening for a while, you know, there's nerves in the beginning, and it's, you know, you're being brought into a family, so everyone knows each other, they're very comfortable with each other. Luckily, the boys in this show, they take you in very warmly, and you know, once you do get comfortable, you're just joking around, you brought in the jokes, and you're having a blast on set. I would have to say it was Battlestar, you know, that was not to be negative, but I don't know that I'll ever have an experience like that again. We are still so close, most of us. We're all dear friends. It was such an incredible series to work on. It was a very important series, and you learned early on how important that show was, and that we were part of something very, very important and different. And yeah, I will always look back very, very fondly on that show. It's probably like one of the most formative for me and important shows that I've done. And I'm just so blessed to still be dear friends with all those people. Whenever I see them, I'm going to see them next weekend actually. We're doing a show in Seattle, and it's the first show that Grace Park has ever done, first convention. a big deal. Yeah. She's a dear friend of mine. She's just been too busy and she's just never done a convention. And so she's coming to this one in Seattle, so we're all kind of excited about it. Because most of us have done a lot of shows, but she hasn't, so yeah. Thank you. One more, real quick.
Okay, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Throughout your career, what role would you say provided you with the most growth as an actor, and